Beyond the 48 laws of power lie the unwritten rules followed by those whose relentless need for power and domination extends far past what Robert Greene outlines, and where power becomes just another word for control. These are the laws that predators live by, to confuse, destabilize, and destroy others, to feel powerful. These aren't just tools, they are weapons, used by those who operate from a distinctively different mindset, one that's dark, calculated, without conscience, and beyond mercy. They do not seek power to lead, they seek to devour. You won't find honor here, you won't find balance, and you sure as hell won't find humanity. These are the 48 laws of a predator. Law 1. Never reveal the predator to potential prey. Rule 1 is simple. If you don't want to run off the prey, don't look like a threat. Act like kindness, smile like salvation, speak like safety, listen like comfort. Charm isn't just a disguise. It is their cheat code, their weapon, their armor. It's how they stand out. It's how they blend in. Because they know if you want to obtain power, build your battlefield off trust, not fear. Law 2. To know thy prey is to own the hunt. First, they study, they watch. Every twitch, every hesitation, every hobby, every habit becomes the rhythm to which they choreograph the perfect illusion. They wear your reflection, mirror your values, so you become blind to their intentions by confusing danger with connection. Law 3. Be what they are starving for. They use your dreams, desires, and hopes like a recipe book. Then they become the perfect feast of what you crave for the most. Wherever emptiness exists, they shapeshift into to fill the void. Love, approval, security, adventure, salvation, inspiration. They become your protector. They become your best friend, your soulmate, as nothing devours more easily than hope. Law 4. Feign vulnerability to evade suspicion. The old bait and switch, triggering compassion with a good old sympathy ploy, a well-timed tear, a sob story, a broken-winged performance, is but the quickest way to disarm suspicion when prying someone open for intel. They get you to let down your guard by seeming like they let down theirs. Then they use understanding like a scalpel to cut through your layers, yielding your most vulnerable aspects, weaknesses, and flaws. Law 5. Reliability provides the illusion of a safe haven. The more reliable they seem, the more safe they feel. They show up as the helping hand, the ear that listens, the shoulder to lean on, until your instincts fall asleep at the wheel. Because once you associate them with being a reliable anchor, you stop questioning where they're steering you. Reliability is the lullaby that puts your instincts to sleep. Positioning you for the slaughter is far easier when the hand guiding you there feels safe. Law 6. Have ammunition on hand, and you'll never be unready for a war. Predators don't wait for a battle to come. They stockpile bullets in advance. Every secret, every slip, every late-night truth whispered in trust is used to line their pockets with ammunition. Because war doesn't always come with a warning. So they stay armed with leverage, so they never have to fight fair. They make sure they not only are the ones with the most ammunition, so they can dominate, but they know that the impact of the blow, when they take you out by the echoes of your own words, will have much more pack to their punch. And the harder the fall, the more difficult the rise back up. Law 7. Win loyalty through victimhood, not dominance. Play the part of the misunderstood, the mistreated, the underdog. Show your scars, weep your woes. Make you believe that you're their savior. Without your loyalty, they would fall, because chains built from sympathy are stronger than any chain built from force. Law 8. Wear morality like a mask, and you become untouchable. Nothing can shield better than appearing righteous. They don't just hide behind charm, they hide behind virtues. They drape themselves in causes, in kindness, in carefully curated displays of goodness that make questioning them feel outrageous. Because when you look like a hero, no one looks for the villain underneath. They weaponize high moral ground, not to live by it, to stand above judgment. And once you control the narrative of good, you can get away with anything. even the most darkest of crimes. Law 9. Uncertainty is a stronger prison than steel. Predators don't need to lock you in a cage or chain you to their basement floor. They lock you up in questions, keep you contained with ambiguity, mixed signals, half-truths, hot and cold treatments. Enough warmth to spark hope, enough distance to ignite doubt. They keep you guessing, second-guessing, doubting your instincts until confusion itself becomes a leash, keeps you standing exactly where they want you. Law 10. Make red flags look white, and they won't sound the alarms. Danger disguises comfort is danger ignored. They don't hide their red flags, they repaint them. A possessive grip becomes passionate love. A cruel comment becomes just a joke. They violate your boundaries, it's because they care. They twist the meaning until the warning feels like reassurance, until your instincts start doubting themselves, until what should send you running makes you stay. Because if danger doesn't look like danger, you won't have any reason to feel unsafe. They control the narrative, they control your reaction, even to their own betrayals. Law 11. Avoid accountability, you avoid consequences. Shift the blame, and you won't just escape punishment, you become the one who does the punishing. Predators don't apologize, they reframe. Every wound they cause becomes your fault. Every betrayal they commit becomes your failure. They twist the truth until you're the villain, and they're the victim, avenging it. Because accountability leads to consequences. But if you make yourself the wrong party, you're not answering to your sins, you're extracting payment from theirs. The predator's game, the one who controls the blame, controls the battlefield. Law 12. Use emotional whiplash to disengage logic. A mind flooded with emotion can't think critically, so they create chaos in your mind. Sudden affection, sudden cruelty. 1 minute you're the hero, the next you're the villain. 1 moment you're cherished, the next you're discarded. This emotional whiplash isn't carelessness, it's calculated. In the storm of emotional highs and lows, instincts blur, reason collapse, and control shifts straight into the predator's hands. Logic dies where emotional chaos thrives. Law 13. Become the only voice they can trust, and you become the one they can't survive without. Control the voice they listen to, and you control the life they live. They don't just silence the outside world, they replace it. They undermine every other connection, sowing doubts, stirring mistrust, isolating you little by little, until the only voice that feels safe, the only opinion that matters, the only guidance you crave is that of the predators. Dependence becomes survival. Survival becomes obedience. And when they own your trust, they own your choices, and eventually they own your entire reality. Law 14. Strategically withhold affection, validation, and approval when they need it the most. Because addiction isn't built on abundance, it's built on deprivation. And when you feel safe, seen, dependent, that's when they disappear. They go cold, they go silent, they leave you drowning in confusion and in need. And just like a drug denied, your mind and body desperate, obsessive, willing to do anything to get the high back. Because once they make you chase the feeling of relief, they never have to chase you again. Give you enough to hook you, and then they starve you until you can't live without them. Law 15. Frame the narrative first. Your intentions stay hidden. Control the story, you control the perception. They don't wait to be questioned. They preload the narrative. They spin the cause, the intentions, the excuses, before anyone even knows that they needed to. They plant the right seed early. Every concern becomes a misunderstanding. Every betrayal becomes a necessary sacrifice. Because once they've given you the script, you won't just believe it, you'll defend it. Own the story first, and you never have to explain the truth. Law 16. Be the cure to the wound you secretively inflict. Create the pain, then sell the relief. They are masters of both the poison and the antidote. They cause the very wounds they pretend to heal. A subtle jab here, a slight betrayal there, enough to make you bleed internally. Then they swoop in with comfort, promises, and their only I can understand whispers. But it's not about fixing the damage, it's about making sure only they can soothe the pain that they create. They hurt you just enough to make you need them. Then you never see them as a danger. Law 17. Inflict the wound, then pin the blame elsewhere. They create the pain and then frame someone else as the cause. They don't just wound their prey, they redirect their pain. They make the prey bleed, then point to someone else and say, see, they're the reason you're hurting. A friend, a family member, anyone close enough to create enemies where none existed. They spark resentment, plant suspicion, divide and isolate, till the only safe harbor is in their arms. They turn your pain into a weapon, and then they turn your trust into a leash. Law 18. Blur the lines between compassion and obedience. Make conformity feel like kindness, and you'll police yourself. If obedience feels like love, like loyalty, like compassion, it stops feeling like submission and starts feeling like virtue. They train you to associate pleasing them with being good, moral, and caring. They make defiance feel selfish. They make boundaries feel cruel. Soon, you aren't just following orders. You're grateful to do it, even if it causes you to betray yourself. Law 19. Turn facts into feelings. When truth becomes emotional, logic loses its power. You argue facts, they weaponize feelings. They twist cold, objective truths into hot, subjective emotions. They take what is and drown it in how it feels. They make reality personal, so questioning the facts feels like you're attacking them. Once you start defending feelings instead of evaluating facts, you're no longer thinking, you're reacting. And a reactive mind is an easy mind to control. Turn truth into insult, and you'll fight for the lie without even knowing it. Law 20. Appear virtuous to the world, and no one will notice the hell you unleash. Appearance to the predator is everything. So they crown themselves in goodness, charity, and virtue. These fuckers keep their halo shining so bright that it would blind anyone who looks closely. But behind the saintly smiles, behind the noble causes, the horns stay hidden. The monster goes unseen when it's cloaked behind this halo. And anyone who dares to question becomes the monster for their judgment. Because once the world sees a savior, they stop looking for a predator underneath. Wrap your malice in virtue, and the crowd will defend you harder than you could ever defend yourself. Law 21. Offer help until it feels like home, then lock it like a cage. They will drown you in kindness, smother you in favors, flood you with false safety, not out of kindness of their heart, but to make you forget how to stand on your own. They'll let you think that this cage is a castle, so that when the doors lock shut, you'll thank them for keeping you safe. Law 22. Never use force where guilt will do, because force breeds rebellion, but guilt breeds compliance. And why use force when you can twist their conscience? They start making you feel ungrateful, selfish, and cruel for resisting, for having boundaries, for wanting freedom. Make it seem like you're disappointing them. And then you will discipline yourself better than they ever could. Because guilt is the silent whip that leaves no bruises, only obedience. Law 23. Become the victim of every situation you create. Control the narrative, especially when you cause the chaos. They light the match, and then when the fire spreads, they scream the loudest. Every consequence becomes your cruelty, and then you become silenced, discredited, and forgotten. Cause the damage, and then they wear the sympathy like armor. Law 24. Rotate masks based on the room. There is no such thing as a true self with them, only strategic personas. But not only is there no true self, there's no false self either. There is no real version of them whatsoever, only adaptations. They read the room like lions read the wind. What do you value? What do you feel? What role can they play that gets them what they want? They don't just wear masks either. They wear mirrors. So no one ever sees the full picture, just fragments, roles, carefully curated characters. Law 25. Master the art of apologizing, but deter the accountability. They're not afraid to say I'm sorry. In fact, they use it like a shield. But their apologies aren't about remorse, they're about optics. They'll say, I'm sorry you feel hurt. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I'm sorry, but you're really acting aggressive. That's not accountability, that's manipulation in the form of an apology. They want the credit of admitting the fault, but they want you to assume the consequences. And if you don't accept the apology, now you're the problem. I said I was sorry, what more do you want from me? It flips the power dynamic. You go from victim to unreasonable. They go from abuser to peacemaker. Law 26. for an explanation, then leave it unfinished. They know you crave answers, that you lie awake trying to understand, trying to make sense of it all. They dangle it like a carrot, then leave it unfinished. They'll say they want to talk, then they'll ghost you. Write heartfelt messages, then disappear when you respond, because they know something about closure that's not healing, it's hooking. If they gave you real closure, you'd move on, so they don't. They let you think you're one message away from clarity, from peace, from the truth. And that's the trap. They'll give you just enough to keep you asking, keep you waiting, keep you emotionally invested. Because if you're still trying to make sense of the end, you're not free. You're still in it. Law 27. Never accept no for an answer. You can't be wrong if you're always right. Dominance isn't just taken, it is declared. They don't debate, they don't negotiate. They don't hear no, they steamroll over it. Every objection is framed as ignorance. Every boundary is labeled as disrespect. Every no becomes a personal attack that must be crushed. Because if they're always right, then everyone else must be wrong. And if they can enforce that belief, they can force submission without ever lifting a hand. Refuse to recognize resistance, and it stops existing. Law 28. You can't fall behind if you're always one step ahead. The best defense is already being where they can't reach you. They don't wait for problems to find them. They anticipate them in advance. They study your patterns. They predict your moves. They position themselves ahead of every threat, every question, every betrayal that they are going to make. Because when you're already 2 moves ahead, you don't just survive the attack, you control when, where, and if the attack even happens. Stay ahead of the game, and you never have to play fair. Law 29. Plant seeds of doubt, keep them watered, and they turn into fear. They build prisons in your mind brick by brick, doubt by doubt. If you scratch at someone's insecurities repeatedly, they harvest fear, and fear equals compliance. You never need to cage, to contain what you train, and condition to conform and obey from provoked fear. Law 30. It's easier to hunt with a pack. Single hands strike, packs destroy. They don't need to always attack you directly. They let their trusted crew gnaw you to pieces. Sometimes the victory tastes more sweet when the blood is left on someone else's hands. And when you fall, they stand at the front basking in the victory they engineered. Law 31. Timing the strike is as crucial as knowing the prey. Even the perfect target can escape if you strike too soon or too late. These people aren't just patient, they are calculating. They don't lunge at the first opportunity. They wait for the perfect moment. When it's unexpected, you're at the weakest, distracted, overconfident, or isolated. Because knowledge of the prey means nothing if you don't master the art of knowing when to move. The right strike at the wrong time is still a failure, but the right strike at the perfect moment becomes fatal. Knowing who you're hunting gives you the advantage, but knowing when to strike earns you the victory. Law 32. Use the power of numbers, even if you have to invent them. People trust the crowd, even when the crowd is a lie. They create fake consensus, manufacture outrage, force alliances out of fear, make you feel alone, and then you'll kneel. Law 33. Build them up only to tear them down. Empower your ego, then quietly drain their soul. They don't break you overnight. That's too messy, obvious, risky. Instead, they build you up right before they tear you down. They'll praise your intelligence, then plant doubt in your logic. They'll hype your resilience, then remind you of how broken you really are. Compliment, criticize, wash, rinse, repeat, over and over. Designed to disorient you. Because when someone believes in you sometimes, you'll work overtime to win their approval again. And when they hurt you, you'll doubt it. You'll question if it's really that bad. Because didn't they also say you were amazing? They feed your ego just enough to keep you on a leash. Not because they care, but because it's easier to control someone, especially by the one secretly making you weak.
Law 34.
Guilt keeps loyalty. They don't forbid you from leaving. They just make you feel like trash for thinking about it. You'll plan to avoid disappointing them. You'll apologize when you've done nothing wrong. You'll walk on eggshells trying to avoid the silent punishment that always follows your independence. You weren't physically caged. You were emotionally blackmailed. And the worst part is they make it so that you lock the door on yourself.
Law 35.
Bury the lie, beneath a layer of truth. Wrap the poison in familiar bread, then it gets slipped past the guards of reason. They don't always tell outrageous lies. They love to tell half-truths dipped in just enough reality. So they get you to nod to the facts. That way you'll swallow the lie without even tasting it. Law 30. Repetition is not just persuasion, it is programming. Rewrite their character to suit your needs. Repeat it till they become it. They'll tell you you're broken, you're selfish, tell you you're worthless, not once, not twice, but every time you dare to breathe without their permission. Because if you are broken, you're less likely to run off. Rather, you'll come crawling back to them. Law 37. Provoke the storm, then blame them for the rain. Push them, poke them, break them. When they lash out, step back and shake their hand. See how you look unstable? Predators don't destroy reputations with lies. They destroy them with provoking the truth that they designed. Law 38. Win at all cost. The method doesn't matter, only the outcome. History doesn't ask how you survived, just that you did. Predators do not know or have any intentions of playing fair. They have no qualms whatsoever getting their victory by means of lie, cheat, stealing, or chopping the feet right off of their competitor. They aren't just playing to win, they are playing to see to it that you lose. Will smile as they destroy you. Law 39. Eliminate any potential threats at trying to take your throne. The only mercy you'll get is the last breath you take before they slit your throat. They do not forgive. They do not forget challengers. They erase them. No exceptions, no second chances, just erasure. Law 40. Move the goalpost to suit your needs and to assure that they lose. They keep the target moving, making it feel like victory is but a step away. Raise the bar, shift the term, move the target, rewrite the rules. That way, no matter how much you give, it's never enough, all the while keeping you to continue striving and trying harder, using hope like a leash and desperation like a collar, so that you'll choke yourself trying to get the win that never existed and they had no intentions of ever letting you achieve. Keep the finish line moving and you'll die running towards it. Law 41. Words can wound, but silence can annihilate. Make the sound of silence so deafening loud that you doubt your own existence. Neglect is an absence. It's a precision strike on your identity. They withdraw affection, attention, acknowledgement of your existence until you feel invisible, worthless, forgotten. The absence becomes a vacuum that devours your self-esteem, leaving you questioning your worth, your reality, even your right to existence. Because when someone makes you feel like a ghost long enough, you start haunting yourself. They don't have to destroy you with rage. They can erase you with silence. Law 42. Treat revenge like a grudge. Keep kicking them while they're down. Defeat isn't enough. They must break the will for you to ever be able to rise again. They don't just settle for winning. They make examples of you. When an enemy falls, they don't offer mercy. They stomp, humiliate, and punish again and again and again, until you don't just lose the fight, you lose the will to fight at all. Because unfinished enemies can return. Broken ones disappear. Make the fall permanent or prepare to fight the same war twice. Law 43. Don't accept defeat when you can't control the narrative. Level the playing field. Not every lie holds. Not every mask stays in place. Sometimes the truth gets out, but exposure isn't defeat if you can control the fallout, steer the wreckage, level the field. They shift the blame, they minimize their role. They flood the field with distractions, counterattacks, and throw anything they can in your face. Any mistakes you have ever made, regardless how trivial, then twist it in a way to make their scandal look like a misunderstanding or a mere mistake. Because in chaos, clarity dies. When you can't put out the fire, just redirect the smoke. Law 44. Stain others first, and no one will notice their dirt on you. You don't always have to be spotless. You just have to look cleaner than the people around you. Smear their character, spread doubt, to create so much suspicion around you that by comparison, their own sins look like a virtue. They frame the narrative before they need to use it, and it becomes their alibi. Their true intentions go unquestioned, because when everyone's drowning in mud, the one who looks the least dirty is perceived to be the cleanest. Tarnish the mirrors, fog the glasses, and no one sees clearly. Law 44. Go big or go home. Predators are people of the extreme. Everything is all or nothing, black or white, war or surrender. They love bomb like gods, then discard like executioners. Their power play is always grandiose. There's no middle ground with the predator. only a stage, and you are either cast as the savior of the soul or the villain in their vengeance, because when control is the end goal, moderation gets in the way. Law 45, an empty sack can't stand up. Drain them until they are all out of fight. They don't always overpower you with force. They deplete you emotionally, mentally, and physical. Constant conflict, endless confusion, silent punishments, strategic burst of hope, followed by brutal withdrawals. Every encounter bleeds a little more strength, a little more spirit, a little more life, because a fighter who has nothing left to give can't fight back. 46. Lay psychological landmines to guard the prison you build. The takedown isn't the end, it's the insurance policy. They don't just break you and walk away. They fortify the ruins they leave behind. They plant guilt. They install shame. They rig memories to explode if you dare try to rebuild. Every self-doubt, every betrayal replayed in your mind is a booby trap waiting to shatter your strength all over again. A system designed to make sure that even long after they're gone, you remain trapped in the insane asylum they handcrafted just for you. Because broken prey are easier to recapture, and if you ever try to rise, those landmines will make sure you bleed before you ever stand. Law 47. All battles are first won or lost in the mind. Convince you you've lost, and they've already won. Defeat isn't delivered by the final blow. Defeat is delivered by belief. Break your spirit, seed doubt, undermine your confidence before the real fight even begins. Make you second guess your strength. Make you question your chances. Make you see the battle as hopeless. Make you feel powerless. And you'll surrender. You'll fold. Because the mind collapses long before the body fails. Make you forget who you are, and you'll forget your worth. And you won't see a reason to get back up. If you conquer the belief, you don't need to conquer the body. The war ends before it starts. Law 48. A snake only sheds its skin to grow bigger. They may promise transformation, but they don't transform, they upgrade. They swap masks. They refine their tactics. They evolve their camouflage to blend deeper, to deceive better, to hunt more ruthlessly. Underneath the fresh skin is the same cold, bloody runs, the same fangs, the same hunger for control. Don't be fooled by their surface changes, because a snake doesn't shed to become harmless. It sheds to become more dangerous. Growth without conscience isn't evolution, it's escalation. You can give them compassion, hold on to the hope that they can change, and offer them 1,000 second chances. But if their core is rot, all you're doing is feeding a parasite. Sure, they'll make all sorts of grand promises, swear they have seen the light. They will play nice for a while, but it is just a performance with a short shelf life. Because the reality is, when someone crosses over the line, where their repeated acts of betrayal, lies, and deliberate cruelty feel justified, where harming others doesn't come with remorse, but they get pleasure from your suffering, that is not a mistake, that is a mindset. And the longer you entertain the snake, the bigger it gets. Eventually, their bite is big enough to swallow you whole. And I can assure you, you don't want to be anywhere near those fuckers' hunting ground when it does, because they have no mercy for you, regardless of who you are to them. They will prey just as easily on their own offspring as they would anyone else, because they legit do not give a single fuck about anyone but themselves. And trying to beat them at their own game, or trying to get through to them, will not work. It's like bringing a prayer to a knife fight. You're bound by rules that they see as a weakness to exploit. As much as you want to save them, they don't see themselves as being broken. You can pity them, you can diagnose them, you can cry for their humanity all you want, but it won't stop the hunt. It won't save you, and it won't protect you. Normal morality fails against these predators every time. They know the rules. They understand them. They are fully aware of what is acceptable, what is unacceptable. They can decipher between right and wrong. They can pretend like they are following the rules when it benefits them to do so. They know how to bend them. They know how to alter them in a way to suit their benefits, as well as they know precisely where and when they can set the rule book aside and play by their own. And the most fatal mistake that you can make is believing that these people don't realize how hurtful they are being. Thinking that if you're kind enough, patient enough, good enough, you'll reach through to them. Or expecting to get guilt, remorse, or a sense of fairness from them, because it ain't gonna happen. You can't fight a crocodile by discussing ethics. You can't debate a snake into mercy. You can't explain fairness to something that thrives on confusion. You cannot shame someone whose shame mechanism is non-existent. You can't guilt trip someone who knows not what guilt is outside of a weapon they can use to manipulate and control. You can't beat them at their own game. You can't stop them from taking you down. The only way to beat these fuckers is to recognize the game and refuse to play. Get the hell off of their hunting grounds and don't ever return, because they won't stop trying to make you their next snack until you do. You can't save them, but you can save yourself. So fight for you, learn the game, look for the patterns, save you. Get back the life they had no right to take from you. Focus on you. Fuck the narcissist, or whatever you want to call them.